The above provision and bequest is contingent on my aforementioned grandnephew discovering the location of the 46th room of my 45-room estate. The location of the room has been kept a secret from all the staff and servants of the manor, but I am confident that any heir worthy of the Sinclair legacy should have no trouble uncovering its whereabouts within a timely manner. Should my grandnephew fail to uncover this room or provide proof of his discovery to the executors of my will, then this gift shall lapse. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand this 18th day of March, 1993. Herbert S. Sinclair.
Blueprints, a game made by Dogubomb, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and published by Raw Fury. A play on word of Blueprints, it's a puzzle exploration roguelike game, and unlike any other game I've ever played, a truly unique experience that only comes once in a blue moon. Prior to release, it was in development for 8 years, and it was made by a very small team, taking inspiration from tabletop games. This is a substantially long time, and I can certainly see why it did take this long. The attention to detail is absolutely insane, and every time I discover a new puzzle mechanic, I'm left in awe with just how much work has been put into the level of detail. Blueprints has pretty much consumed my life since it came out, and I'm not someone who tends to play games for more than a couple of hours at a time. This game is different. I have been playing it non-stop, and yet I am still so far from uncovering every mystery the game has to offer. And while I want to focus on horror games for this channel, I could not pass up the chance to talk about this game. It is that much of a masterpiece. The charming hand-drawn graphics, complex puzzles, and the need to discover everything the game has to offer makes it completely addicting. This video is going to be quite spoiler heavy for some aspects like puzzles, items, and rooms, so I recommend that you play the game first before watching if you want to experience it yourself, and you really should if you like puzzle games. If you enjoy this sort of content, please drop a like and subscribe for more, as I plan on doing many other videos similar to this. The game is set in a place called Mount Holly, a picturesque mansion located in the mountains. You play as Simon P. Jones, and as the inheritor of Mount Holly's estate, you're here to uncover its mysteries with the aim of finding Room 46 accessible by the antechamber. Items are extremely important for successful runs, and while I can't mention them all, there are some that seem more important than others from my experience in the game thus far. Blueprints has a few different currencies. Coins let you buy items from shops, gems help you unlock more uncommon rooms to explore, keys help you unlock doors later on in the mansion, and dice enable you to re-roll the floor plans if you're unhappy with the choices. There's also special items. Things like the shovel can be used to dig up extra resources, the sledgehammer to open chests without needing keys, The magnifying glass will let you see text that is too small to read otherwise, and the metal detector which guides you to metal items you may have missed otherwise. These are just a few, so the rest you can discover for yourself. You can also create more powerful versions of items by combining them at the workshop. Burning glass can light candles and torches. The power hammer lets you bust through hidden walls, and the detector shovel helps you find more coins and keys. Special keys are needed to gain access to rarer rooms in the antechamber. The secret garden key, which can only be draftable on the outer edges of the mansion, leads you to a puzzle to solve to unlock the east door of the antechamber. Some doors can only be unlocked with a key card, which if you manage to get, it can be useful to change the security to high at the security room, as more doors will be locked with a key card instead of needing keys. The silver key lets you open a door that leads to a room with many doors, and can be useful if you're lacking pathways, and vault keys unlock safety deposit boxes in the vaults. To find information, you have to draft rooms to create paths to more rooms. You have a choice of 3 different rooms each time you try to enter a door. There's different types of rooms, and there's pretty much a reason to visit every room, even if it has negative effects, as there may be something important there. I want to go through all types of rooms. Let's start with blue rooms. These are generalized rooms and the large bulk of rooms that you can draft. Some notable blue rooms are the parlour and billiard room, which have puzzles to solve. Things like the boiler room and pump room enable you to control power and water through the estate, and the laboratory lets you set up experiments to give you advantages. There's quite a lot of dead-end rooms, a lot of them being blue, which if placed poorly can prevent you from moving forward, but can also reward you greatly with items you may need. A few notable dead ends are the vault, which gives you a substantially large amount of money and has safety deposit boxes you can open with special keys, and things like the mail room and sauna, which will help you out on your next run by giving you more steps and items. Then there's red rooms, and you need to be careful with which ones you draft, as they mostly give negative effects. For example, the archives can be good to draft as it provides you with the most exits to advance. But the downside is now you can no longer see one of the choices of rooms you can draft for the rest of the run, a significant disadvantage. My mortal enemy is the weight room, as it takes away half of your steps, and I find myself losing runs to steps quite often. Hallways are useful for getting to other places as they tend to have more exits, however they do lack in resources you may need. Bedrooms are useful for gaining more steps, but are often dead ends, so you have to be careful where you draft them. Green rooms are mostly only draftable on the outer edges of the mansion, excluding a few, and grant you advantages like gems often needed to progress. Shops enable you to buy different items with gold, things like books that contain vital information, or useful tools, keys, and gems. You can also find rare floor plans that usually unlock after solving puzzles or drafting at the drafting studio. Things like the Dovecot, which lets you rotate floor plans, or the closed exhibit, which is useful if you have a key card. Finally, the outer rooms are unlocked after powering the garage to open the garage door, leading outside, and these are important as they give you major advantages for your run. The shelter negates effects of the next 3 red rooms drafted, meaning if you draft archives with this perk, you no longer have to worry about being unable to see all drafting options. You can offer money to a statue in the shrine and gain a buff for a few days, or gain special items straight away from the tool shed.
I am awakened at the sound of a dropping coin. You find yourself face to face with the great Alzara. And I suspect you wish me to look into your future. The image is becoming clear. I see a boy standing on a shore of white sand. He is looking for something he was told he would not find. see a black cat tied to a red flag. I hear the wind blowing, but the flag does not stir. I see a door marked by a rogue moon, a door that is always locked, yet has no key. It is the door you have been searching for, yet will not find.
Blueprints is not a cutscene-heavy game. The story is mainly told through notes that expand on who has visited and worked at this expansive labyrinth. There's also tons of notes that give you clues to the many puzzles. It seems simple at the start, however, it quickly evolves into one of the most complex puzzle games I've ever played. A game that loops infinitely, helping you uncover more as you progress. Sometimes you'll feel like you're not really getting anywhere, but for me that makes it more satisfying when you figure out something bigger. And while the game relies on luck of the draw, and in this case trying to get the rooms you need, and it's very grindy, it does add so much replayability to it. The puzzles are very masterful in how they are crafted, and once you've solved one, they just hand you the next one. There are so many. At first glance, it does seem like you are supposed to make your way to room 46, but it's way more than that. Take, for example, the outside of the manor. There's not just the inside to explore. The outside world has secrets you can unlock, massive underground caverns, and even more puzzles, like this chessboard I've yet to solve. The previously mentioned parlour and billiard rooms have simple puzzles that get harder as the game progresses and you solve them more. There's safes you can open by figuring out codes, and the utility room has an interesting puzzle with buttons changing colours. The puzzles are all solvable with information in the game, which is what I like. They just require you to investigate your surroundings thoroughly. I have a notebook with extensive notes, and I have made use of Steam's screenshot feature, which is useful if you play on PC. The thing that stands out to me the most is the environmental detail. While you can find notes that help you with puzzles, you really have to inspect everything in every room, as there's always more than what meets the eye. My most recent discovery, which is hinted at in the study, has you inspect pictures in every single room of the mansion to find the correlation between the two and solve a very complex puzzle. What is so fascinating is that each room changes depending on where you draft it on the grid. Each set of pictures is related to the location on the grid rather than to the room you draft, meaning the developers at Dogubomb must have taken so much time and care into creating it, as every single room has many different variations. This is also the case if you draft a room on the outside of the mansion. Rooms that were just completely shut off from the outside world now have windows. It's just absolutely crazy the amount of detail put into this environment. Now don't get me wrong, this game is a masterpiece. However, I do have a few small issues that I want to talk about. Firstly, I want to bring up step usage, most notably on the outside of the mansion and underground. The previously mentioned outer rooms are very important, and you'll likely want to go for every run once unlocked. However, to get there you have to use up 4 steps just to draft it, and if you need to enter that room it takes up another 2 steps on top of that. This leaves you with less to work with when you actually start your run in the mansion itself, although I can see that the reward for the outer room usually outweighs the steps you use. As for the underground, it's also the same thing. Once you've found the lever to open room 46, you have to trek all the way underground every single run you're trying to get there. This also uses up a considerable amount of steps and takes time away from your run, as it is a little bit of a distance. Another small issue I have is long animation times. For example, when accessing the computer terminal and going online, you have to wait like 10 seconds for it to load up. It's a really small thing, but noticeable as you play more with lots of different things. Dig spots take a few seconds to dig. Opening doors and cutscenes, especially opening room 46, plays an unskippable cutscene, which after the first time you've seen it, I feel like it should just skip it. There's also the fact that in order to quit the game, you have to finish a run. You can't quit mid-run, as the game will end your day and your progress. It's not a huge issue for me. However, I can see this being an issue for people that have very busy lives and only have time for a short gaming session, as runs can take upwards of an hour if exploring everything. I would say these are all very minor quality of life things, and it does not take away from the actual main gameplay elements as such. Just some small tweaks would definitely improve the game's replayability.
There was once a red prince who sat on a red throne. He had a red crown made of rubies and a red castle made of stone. The prince had a love for all things red. It's the only true color, the prince often said. He could not stand the sight of a canary or a crow. He could not stand the white of a swan in the snow. And he never looked up for fear of the view. He had heard that the sky was not a red hue. He didn't see the birds or the changing of the leaves, and he never saw the sights of life's many symphonies. He couldn't see beyond the red shade he was aware. He never caught a glimpse of the world I had to share. But one day the prince saw something new. And if you look closely, you might see it too. The skies parted and the clouds withdrew. The prince had a new favorite color. The color blue.
After 33 hours and finally rolling the credits, Blue Prince is an expertly crafted puzzle game that anyone can pick up. You really don't need to be good at puzzles either, as the game guides you to solving them itself without needing to look things up. The environment design is amazing. The game is engaging with so many secrets. There's just so much to discover, and I cannot recommend it enough. It's the complex masterpiece I have been waiting for. Please leave a comment if you like this sort of content or have any suggestions of more games you'd like me to check out. Thank you for watching.